Grüß Gott. Welcome back, everyone. This is the first of hopefully many renditions of Boots and Blades, which is a segment where I go over some of what's been happening in football and also in ice hockey around the world. I've been looking forward to doing something like this for a while now, and I think I've finally got what could be a good working system for it. We'll have to see, because there's probably going to be a lot of scuff, and yeah, there's a lot to cover, and this is my first time, so I'm hoping practice makes perfect, and practice will make it happen very quickly. So, I wasn't expecting to start off with something so serious, but this is a very recent, very hot situation right now that I haven't even had time to get pictures of for the stream. So Liverpool, they won the Premier League this year, and today was their parade where the bus would go down streets and people would celebrate. There was already issues with people bringing flares, which they had been warned not to, but that's been... The situation's been made worse now because a car has driven through crowd at the parade. It's not a great situation. A man was detained. We do not know yet how many people are injured or even worse in the collision. There's an ambulance present. Police are involved. Liverpool are in liaison with the police. And, well, my heart goes out to everyone involved. I just hope that there no lasting damage has been done to people or property, especially people. The police statement is saying do not speculate, so I'm certainly not going to do so here, but all I will say is that Liverpool as a club, as a community, don't deserve this. They've had enough tragedy in their history with Hillsborough and Hazel. We do not need to add to it today. Well, there's no real way to transition from that, but there's more Liverpool news, so I suppose let's start with that, and it is the first slide that I've got here. So, Gary Lineker is leaving. I mentioned this yesterday, I believe, on stream. He is leaving Match of the Day as presenter for the BBC TV show. He was slated to host for the World Cup in 2026. That's no longer happening. This is after he reposted on Instagram a video that had an anti-Semitic trope in it, and it's become very clear that he can't remain at the show now, and he's pretty gracefully bowed out. He did his last show yesterday and has thanked everyone for their support and their continued viewership. Arne Slot has made a response. Thank you for now, and thank you for being such a great presenter of a BBC show that I've watched many times when I lived in Holland and now still. It's great what you did. I'd have liked to give you a Liverpool shirt instead of the other club that you played for. Lineker responded, Arne, thank you, I appreciate that. So, Slot has thrown in his support of the Leicester great, and the question is now who will fill in for Gary Lineker in Match of the Day and for the World Cup presentations next year. Also in Leicester news, it looked likely that Leicester were going to be docked 6 points, and it could be as high as 12 in the EFL Championship because of the financial breaches that have taken place. I've had a lot of opinions on this, and I know that very many people out there also have their opinions. They can be very strong opinions, but I think most of us can agree that the system as it is right now is not functioning properly. But Leicester are the most recent victim of this system, and instead of 6 or 12 points, it's looking most likely now, according to Stefan Borson with Football Insider, that it's going to be 15 points that will be docked for next year's championship. So Leicester would have to overcome that 15-point deficit before they could even begin to fight for promotion again next year. Tottenham have won their first trophy in 17 years since their League Cup in 2008. So as a football community, we can finally stop cracking jokes about Tottenham since Spurs last won a trophy. Oh, they're always bottling it. They didn't do it this year. They managed it. They won against Manchester United, and I believe it was a comeback win. And on top of that, Son Heung-min was a very talented and skilled player and showed it during that game. And Tottenham and Kane have both broken their respective curses when it comes to the the trophy curse. Harry Kane, as a long-term player for Tottenham, also didn't win any silverware, either there or with England, but now with Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, they've done it. So the question is, are England Football Club the next team to break the trophy drought? And there's a couple more trophy droughts that I'm going to mention today in this news, so that will be for later. But next, Sunderland have promoted. The championship final was it Saturday? I believe it was Saturday or Sunday. What our day is right now. All of this news is just coming thick and fast, and it was this weekend that Sunderland played Sheffield United in the championship final. Tom Watson, he scored the winner at 90 minutes plus 5 for a comeback victory in Sheffield. They'll be going up, and it'll be their first time in the Premier League since, I believe it was 2018 or 19. I'd have to look again. But it's been a couple of years. It's certainly been longer than it was for Sheffield United, who are looking to go right back up. But for Sunderland, well done. It'll be nice to see the Black Cats in the Premier League again. Arsenal in the Women's Champions League, they beat Barcelona 1-0, their first title. It wasn't expected, but good for them. And in the Scotland Cup, Aberdeen beat Celtic in penalties, with Schmeichel scoring an own goal to help bring them to that. And that brought a delay as the Aberdeen fans went wild in celebration, and I think maybe there were a couple pitch invasions. Just big scenes over there with Aberdeen. And the coach for Aberdeen has made some news, as he's been credited big time for the win, with just how many times he said when we win the final, rather than if. It's very clear that he had a lot of confidence in his players, in himself, and they proved him right in this final. They never looked that nervous against Celtic, and after Schmeichel gave them that opportunity, they took it, and they ran with it all the way to penalties. The question is, for Swansea fans, is Luka Modric going to play for the team for the next year? The Real Madrid player is retiring is not the right word to use, but it seems that he's not playing in the Liga anymore. But he hasn't officially hung up his boots, and he's bought a house in Swansea. So could it be that he wants a retirement tour over there in the South Wales city? And the big story in Belgium. Union Saint-Gilloise. I really hope that I got that name right. Oh, hello, Oberstall. Hope that you're doing well. Union Saint-Gilloise. Saint-Gilloise. Yeah, I think it's that. Union Saint-Gilloise have just won their first league title in 90 years. That's since 1935, when they won 3-1 against Ghent to win the Belgian League, the Jupiler Pro League, as I believe it's called. So much to be celebrated over there for the yellow and blue. Southampton have a new manager, Will Still, who is only 32, so very young for a coach, for a football coach. He is signed to Southampton, I don't know for how long. When the team posted on Twitter, they had this picture on the left with him signing and looking up the camera, the usual stuff, but some people, as they often do, just zoomed in to the page to check to see what the terms might be of that contract. And we have it here. Can I get it to... Oh, no. I will just read it, because even though it is zoomed in, it's still a little bit difficult to read. For those of you who have zoomed in on this contract, got you! Do you really think we'd disclose Will Still's actual contract details? Nice try, respect the hustle. While you're here though, 2025-26 Southampton tickets are now on sale, and your support will be appreciated, I think it says. We look to bounce back to the Premiership next season. Here's to Will Still's red and white army. Regards, the Southampton media team. So that's lovely. A little bit of a prank played on the Southampton Twitter fans there. Now, let's get to the World League, the Club World Cup. This has been expanded, and it used to be that one team from each continent would play in a sort of little knockout, and now it's been expanded to mirror the World Cup proper with 32 teams, 8 groups, all that fun stuff. But first, because one of the teams was disqualified as they were owned by the same people who owned Pachuca in Mexico. I think it also was a Mexican team. I should check that. We're doing it live. Lyon was originally going to participate, but they're also owned by the same people who own Pachuca. So Lyon are out, and instead it's going to be the winner on June 1st at 3:30 a.m. Central Eastern Time. It's Central European Time, excuse me. On 1st of June, LA Galaxy versus Club America. So I believe that LA will have the edge for this one, but they're close enough that it's really not, you can't call it right now. It'll be one game, and it'll be winner takes all. Whoever wins gets into perhaps the most prestigious new football tournament for decades. So, good luck to both teams here. If I had to choose, yeah, it would probably be LA Galaxy, but I wouldn't be upset to see Club America make it in either. Also, because of the Club World Cup, FIFA are going to be opening a special transfer window for the Africa clubs. Malamodi Sundowns, Wydad Athletic Club, Esperance Tunis, and Al Ahly will have a special opening from June 1st to 10th for any transfers that they need to make. Usually in Africa, the window is closed at this time of the year, but because of special circumstances, and this is such a new tournament, the football administration, they just had to just make things a little bit fairer on these little teams and give them that opportunity to bolster their squad. Esperance, they're the least likely to get out of their respective group. They lost against Sundowns in the Champions League, the African Champions League last month, but one game doesn't decide everything. So maybe, who knows? Could any of these teams could provide an upset or two in the groups? But another African club, the Sundowns, they have a final against the Pyramids from Egypt in the Champions League. It's a two-legged final, and they drew the first one 1-1 at home. That's a late equalizer from the Pyramids. And the Sundowns will have to go to New Cairo and see if they can't win it there and retain the CAF Champions League title. I'm not sure. I think they are the defending champions. I'd have to check that too. It's nice to have all this information here and still have to look things up once in a while. Okay. No, it was Al Ahly who won it previous time, and the time before that, 2023 and 24. So it would be Malamodi Sundowns' second time winning it since 2016. Monterrey have made it official. Their new head coach is Dominic Torrent, who used to be Atletico San Luis, and before that, I think it was New York City Football Club. Correct me if I'm wrong there. He's going to be there for 1 year at Monterrey, and his first game is in the Club World Cup against Inter Milan, so certainly starting right at the deep end there, because Inter Milan, well, they're European finalists right now. They are no slouch when it comes to football. So all the best to Dominic Torrent, because he's going to need some luck. Guillermo Almada, he's resigned from Pachuca, and they are to decide their replacement tomorrow. I haven't seen any news on that. Haven't seen rumors either, so it's probably going to be a surprise when we do find out. In Brazilian news, Palmeiras have lost to Flamengo 2-0 with a late penalty which led to an extra goal, while Palmeiras were playing more aggressively, trying to get a rescue draw. And now Flamengo are only a point behind Palmeiras at second in the table for Brasileirão. Boca Juniors and River Plate are both out of the Argentine Apertura, so it's probably going to be Hurricane now, but Platense are also there in the final after beating River Plate, so we can't count them out. Boca, they lost to Independiente, who then lost to Hurricane. Ancelotti is moving from Real Madrid to Brazil, so he won't be there at Real Madrid. There it is. I knew that was I would get the order wrong at least once today. It's the first time. There's going to be scuff. I'm just riding my way through it and enjoying myself. Well, I do. Anyway, Ancelotti. He's out, going to Brazil, and for the Club World Cup, Real Madrid are going to be relying on Xabi Alonso to be at the wheel and lead them through it. And Real Madrid, they beat Real Sociedad 2-0 to close out their season and Ancelotti's last game. That's Mbappe with a brace as well, so he's looking at fit and ready for the World Cup, the Club World Cup. Meanwhile, Florian Wirtz, there were rumours he was going to Bayern Munich. It seemed like it was a set thing, and then it wasn't. He is instead going to Liverpool. Arne Slot sort of stole him right from under Bayern Munich's nose here. So it's going to be interesting to see how this Bayer Leverkusen player does with his new Liverpool squad and teammates. Kevin De Bruyne is leaving Man City and joining Napoli. That's been confirmed. We weren't sure exactly where he was going. We knew he was going, but now we know it's the Italian club, who are not in the World League, but De Bruyne leaving right now, that is going to weaken City a little bit before the Club World Cup festivities begin. A little bit of fun news. Antoine Griezmann has invited LeBron James to the Atletico matches, saying that he hopes to see him there, and it would be kind of fun to see LeBron there, just in the crowd, help grow the game in America, because football is not the most popular sport over there. It isn't even the most popular sport over there that is called football, so if LeBron could show up and catch a couple headlines, then maybe there will be a few more eyeballs on the Club World Cup as a league. So, PSG, they beat Reims 3-0 to win Coupe de France. And the reason I also have Napoli up here is because of one player, Ivica Kvaratskhelia. I really hope that I pronounced that correctly. He was injured and he's probably going to miss the UCL final, but because he also played with Napoli for enough games this year before transferring over to PSG, he qualifies for a medal there, as Napoli won that league by beating Cagliari. But he also earned a medal with Paris Saint-Germain for the French league, so he is one of very few players to win both leagues at the same time, I think on the same day as well, in the same year. So there's a trivia for you. Who won the Serie A along with Coupe de France? Well, Ivica Kvaratskhelia. Yeah, apparently. It's interesting how they decide these things. They decide who qualifies for the medals and who doesn't. Because it isn't just you play one game and you qualify. I think you have to play for multiple. At least in England you do. Each country in their league has different rules, though, so I couldn't begin to guess how it goes in Italy. In Portugal, Benfica lose in the cup final against Sporting. That happened last night. It could have been a revenge game because they had just lost the league to Sporting Lisbon, but instead they lost again, and now it's just double the defeat for them. They're going to be sick of seeing this green team going into the Club World Cup, but fortunately for them, Sporting Lisbon did not qualify for that cup, so there's no chance of meeting them there. For Juventus, Igor Tudor said that Juventus had to approach the season finale with their head and heart, because if they lost against Venezia, they wouldn't even have made the Champions League next season. They did, though. They came back and won 3-2 last night. And on the back of that, Igor is saying that his future at the club will be decided before the Club World Cup. So we're going to see if he's going to manage them for that, or if it's going to be an interim manager, or what they plan on doing there. For Red Bull Salzburg, it was a lucky day in the last Austrian League game, because not only did they beat Rapid Wien 4-2, that helped them quite a bit there, but other results fell their way pretty perfectly. Austria Wien drew Blau-Weiß Linz, and Wolfsburg drew Sturm Graz. So the way that it all shakes up with the table, Salzburg will finish second and qualify for the Champions League again next year, which is good for them. They'll keep playing and see if they can continue to keep that coefficient up in case the Club World Cup continues that for qualifications next time round, which would be 2029, wouldn't it? I believe it'll be every 4 years. So Red Bull Salzburg need to keep fighting for that because they only barely made it into this Club World Cup. For Inter Miami, it's been a pretty tough month. They conceded 4 goals and then 3 for the next 3 games, so in total 13 goals in their last 4 games. They haven't done very well. They've been scoring enough, partly due to Messi, but this week they had some actual proper good news. Messi, he moved into the top 3 of all time for direct free kick goals. That is with 67. He scored against, I believe it is Philadelphia, the 3-3 draw. This time for his 67th. He passed Ronaldinho, who had 66, and he has Pele in his sights with 70. Juninho with 77. I can see Messi making his way to 77 with enough seasons with Inter Miami. Who knows? He certainly hasn't aged that much if he's still banging those in. So all he has to do is score 10 more to match Juninho. In transfer news, Gabri Veiga is going to FC Porto. So this is a snub of Newcastle and Atletico Madrid, who were both seen as in the running for his services. Instead, he's going to Portugal. So he'll be with FC Porto, I believe, in time for the Club World Cup. But the biggest transfer rumour has to be Ronaldo. Yep, he's in the news. Hi, Copy Universe. Thank you very much. Yeah. Gabri Veiga is going to... Oh, no. Reset. Ronaldo is only likely, to go to Wydad Athletic Club for the Club World Cup, who They're in a group with Man City, Juventus and Al Ain. Ronaldo used to play for Man United and for Juventus, so that makes things interesting there. And Al Ain being a Saudi club, I believe, so yeah, it would be the perfect group for him to make it into. For Ronaldo, it would be a shame if he didn't make the Club World Cup. So naturally, a lot of teams are seeing if they can buy low on him and get him into their squad for maybe even half a year contract just to have him play important games for the club and continue his legend, and the club that he's playing for his legend. Botafogo and Chelsea are also in the running for Ronaldo, but it seems that Wydad are, they're the front runners because they're in talks with Ronaldo. It seems most likely that's what's being reported right now. It's only rumors though, so I'd say there's 32 teams right now who could end up having Ronaldo on their team. Maybe minus a couple because they've just already said no. So, Manchester United want Richard Rios from Palmeiras. And Flamengo, they want Dortmund's Gio Reyna, who right now isn't getting a lot of playing time at Dortmund. So Flamengo do have something to offer that Dortmund do not, which is first-team football. All four of these teams are in the Club World Cup, so that'll be interesting to see where these two players end up and how that affects the clubs that they leave, if they do. Also, PSG, they want to sign Franco Mastantuono from River Plate. River Plate already told Real Madrid no chance, so PSG are now the most likely to get the player, or he might remain at River Plate for the Club World Cup. We'll have to see. Al Hilal, meanwhile, they want Bruno Fernandes, who is somewhat unseated at United. Amorim has made a statement on it, saying it is important for Bruno to see that we are changing a lot of things in our club, and continue to make the same sort of remarks that Manchester United are changing, their culture is improving, and for Manchester United fans, well, they might have heard this all before. So for Bruno Fernandes and his fans, it's kind of reasonable to expect that he might just be looking to see if the grass is greener elsewhere. And he might choose the grass over at Al Hilal, for all we know. Boca Juniors, they need a new manager after the departure of Fernando Gago. And who would weigh in but the FIFA president, Gianni Infantino? He said that he is interested in the role as new manager for Boca Juniors. Probably a joke. Infantino has said some silly things in the past, and this just might be the latest in a long line of it. But Daniel De Rossi is looking like the most likely candidate for new Boca Juniors manager, but there are also other places he could go. He could go to Como, he could even return to Roma, which he was there before Ranieri took over, and Ranieri seems interested in sort of a dual managership between him and De Rossi. So that'd be interesting to see. But if neither of those things happen, then it's probably Boca Juniors that De Rossi moves to. Infantino still remains in the news, as he said that Ronaldo could play the World Cup with another team even while on contract, or he implied that during a stream with a YouTuber, iShowSpeed. That's where he hinted that he could join another team to play in the Cup, And yeah, Al Nicely, they were not happy to hear about that. They were feeling that Infantino is meddling with affairs over there and that he's prying him from the club. And yeah, Infantino may have wanted to keep that one to himself, I'd say. For Chelsea, they are looking for strikers, wingers, centre-backs. They are just doing what they can with their squads. They've had a few departures they're looking to build back up. They got Victor Osimhen from Galatasaray, that's the start, and right now they are looking to get Hugo Ekitike from Frankfurt, and they could spend as high as 100 million for him, which, yeah, that's quite a bit of money. We have seen players go to English clubs for more than that, but not a lot. So we'll see if Chelsea get their man. More United transfer news. Garnacho, it's become clear that he's fed up over at Manchester United, probably similar sympathies with Bruno Fernandes, and Garnacho says that he wants to move to Real Madrid. Whether Real Madrid will sign him, that's another question, but it does look like his time with the Red Devils is over. And Liverpool, to close out the transfer rumours, it looks like they are planning to sign Nahuel Molina from Atletico Madrid to replace Trent Alexander-Arnold in left back. And things aren't looking good for Atletico Madrid when it comes to player retention, as Arsenal and Barcelona, they want Julian Alvarez. So they have to fight for both players or go ahead and give up one so they can spend more on retaining the other. We'll see what they do there, but for Atletico Madrid, they're probably wishing that all clubs could just leave them alone. Now, that's all the football news. Over to hockey, because this is boots and blades, so there's going to be a little bit of ice hockey around the world as well. And, well, with the conference finals over the NHL happening right now, there's comparatively not as much news as there usually is during the regular season, but there's still a bit. So, Brendan Shanahan is not going to the Islanders. There were rumors that he was going there, but the Islanders hired Matthew Darch as their GM, and as a result, Brendan Shanahan isn't going to be GM, he isn't going to be executive or owner or anything like that with the Islanders. He is a free agent now. So we'll be seeing where Shanahan goes. I'm sure even though it didn't work out in Toronto, there are going to be plenty of teams that are at least slightly interested in his services as executive director. In the PWHL, the women's hockey, Minnesota Frost, they beat Ottawa Charge in Game 3 to go up 2-1 in the series. Katie Knoll with a triple overtime goal to win that game. Game 4 being tonight, and it's a best of 5, so unless Ottawa Charge win that one and the one after, Minnesota Frost are going to repeat as champions for the first 2 years of the PWHL's existence. In the NHL, the Hurricanes, it hasn't been a good series against Florida, and that's putting it mildly. They have looked dreadful. Orlov hasn't done great. There are problems seemingly with the squad selection, as Nikishin hasn't been playing despite fans really wanting to see him. And, well, Florida, they're just rolling on. It doesn't look like anyone can beat them right now. They've won the first 3 games and none of them were close at all. Carolina's goaltending hasn't been saving them either. And If the game tonight ends in a Florida win, then it'll be yet another sweep in the conference finals for the Carolina Hurricanes, which happened in 2009 when they were swept by the Penguins, in 2019 when they were swept by the Bruins, in 2023 when they were swept by the Panthers, and yeah, it will be 2025 when it happens again if tonight they don't win against the Panthers in Game 4. It feels to me like, yeah, the Carolina Hurricanes, it's just a mental block with them now. If they can't even win a single game in those finals after all those attempts, at that 16 straight losses in the conference finals, you can't have that. They've somewhat become, in this tier of competition, the new Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs are still the old Maple Leafs. They're still having their issues, and well, I would have been covering that if I'd been making videos about hockey news a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, the current news, the current bad luck team of the NHL right now, yeah, is the Carolina Hurricanes, who just cannot perform in those conference finals. Another team not performing in the conference finals, Dallas. They won the first game against Edmonton, but since then it's just been, they've had nothing. They've just been wiped out again and again on offense by the Edmonton Oilers and also Skinner, who he's been hot one game and cold the other throughout this and previous years' playoffs, but right now there doesn't seem to be any getting through him. In the first game, fans were taunting Skinner, saying the Skinner sort of chants, which the LA Kings already learned to their detriment that doesn't necessarily get into Skinner's head. If anything, he plays better when that happens. And now Dallas might be learning the same lesson, that you just don't taunt Skinner when the series isn't over. In the meanwhile, Roope Hintz, he did miss Game 3 despite being in the team skate. So any questions as to whether he was faking that injury in Game 2, that's been put to bed now. There's no way that a hockey player of his caliber would just decide, no, I'm faking injury, so I'm just going to not play the third game of the conference final series against the Edmonton Oilers. No, he wouldn't have done that. He's definitely hurt. There's something going on. The team's not going to tell us what's going on, but it's worse than it looked. And there are questions as to if that was the end of his season. And finally, for the IIHL World Championship, the USA hockey team has done it. They've won the championship for the first time in over 90 years. Yeah, that number comes up again, Union Saint-Gilloise. But yeah, 1933 was the last time the USA hockey team won the IIHL World Championship, not counting 1960, which is the Winter Olympics, Miracle on Ice, all that wonderful stuff. But no, for this specific cup, it's 92 years ago that the USA emerged as winners. It went all the way to overtime against Switzerland, and Tage Thompson was the one who scored the overtime winner. Jeremy Swayman, meanwhile, pitches a shutout with 25 shots against 25 shots saved. So it's a 1-0 overtime winner to make history for the US national team. And that's your world in Boots and Blades. Thank you so much for your support, goats. It means a lot. In the event you haven't followed, go ahead and hit the button here on Twitch and also on Blue Sky at Vivian Ruig, and you'll know when I'm streaming next. But I'm not quite done. I feel like playing something, I'm not sure what yet. Let's go ahead and boot up N++. I will be right back.